Welcome back to another edition of the Call Up Podcast. Today, I'm so happy to introduce a man I got to know for a good while. First heard about him through the Major Figure podcast, and then I had to do my research to learn a little bit more about him, which had an interesting story behind it. Mr. Rory Fox, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
All right. So I like I said before in the intro, I got to know about who you are through Matt Cardona and all the crazy stories that you guys went back and forth with. I seen you at one of the live shows, which I thought you were really entertaining at the time. So I said, you know what, I want to sit down. And when I started doing these projects of interviewing different people, you were one of the people I had in mind because I just wanted to know more about you.
Yeah. Right. Well, the live show, were you in Chicago or you just saw some of the footage?
I saw some of the footage because I couldn't make it to Chicago. Yeah. I was supposed to go to Chicago that time, but then my, things happened. I couldn't catch a flight. So I ended up just canceling everything. So like, when exactly did you get into the business?
So what happened was I actually had my training in 1998. I went out the week before SummerSlam. I had planned on going out a year before, but I played a little Sunday afternoon football, and I ended up tearing my ACL trying to block a pass. And it was horrible at the time, but if I wouldn't have torn my ACL and delayed my arrival to Cincinnati by that 8 months, the MTV thing would have never happened and never would have been Rapid Delivery Rory Fox, known for the whole MTV thing.
Right. So with the MTV spot, I know that, I was listening to a story before where they were actually looking at another guy and he dropped the ball and then you picked it up and you just ran with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's how the wrestling business works. If someone else jacks off or they're a screw up, someone else is right there ready for the opportunity. And I just took the ball and ran with it. I had the great story from Watkins, Iowa, population of 100. I had worked in a factory for 2.5 years saving for pro wrestling because I knew I wanted to do this. And I had to find out because I was watching every Monday night, just living and dying with Monday Night Raw and the whole Attitude Era. And it's like, if I don't find out if I can do this, I'll never be able to live with myself. But the whole story was with Cincinnati. I grew up as a pro wrestling fan. I started watching wrestling around 1984, 85. We didn't have cable or anything like that. There was little advertisements about coming soon to KWWL, which is our NBC affiliate. WWF Superstars of Wrestling, the Junkyard Dog, Hulk Hogan, all these crazy names. I'm like, what is this? I got to find out what the heck this is. I got to find out who this Junkyard Dog is, who these British Bulldogs are. And I watched that first episode of Superstars Wrestling and I saw Jesse the Body and Vince McMahon and Bruno Sammartino. And then I saw the British Bulldogs wrestle. And once I saw them move, I was like, wow, I don't know what this is, man, but I'm hooked now. And then once I saw the Saturday night main event started every couple of months, I would stay up and watch it on Saturday nights. I'd record it on my VCR and I'd be watching it all week. And my brother and my mom would be like, will you shut that damn thing off? You've been watching that all week. And one of my friends out in the country, he would get the Royal Rumble. He'd get the pay-per-views every so often on the big old satellite dish. And I would record that and I'd be watching that for a month. And I'd chase my sisters all around the house like I was Ultimate Warrior running to the ring. And, but yeah, that's how I fell in love with pro wrestling. And the reason I ended up in Cincinnati was, I had this little booklet. I looked up the different places, Killer Kowalski. What were the other ones? The Monster Factory, Larry Sharp. But I called Cincinnati and Les Thatcher actually answered the phone. The other places was all voicemails. And Killer Kowalski was like, leave a message, give it to your best shot. And I was like, okay, Killer Kowalski's the one that trained Triple H and Perry Saturn and some other guys. But yeah, Les took the time to talk to this idiot on the phone, and I asked him all these dumb questions. And if he knew Roddy Piper and everything else.
I mean,
But
those are things that we would normally do. Because I remember when I was young, I did the same thing. I looked for a wrestling school, and I went out there to try and learn the things that I seen on TV. And that was one of the first thing I asked. I was like, "Hey, have you ever met Hulk Hogan? Have you ever done this?" And they look at you and they're like, they just shake their head and they're just like, "Just get in the ring. Let's just go."
Yeah. Yeah, he took the time to answer my stupid questions, and we discussed going out there. And me and my dad went out. We drove the 500 miles out to Cincinnati, and I stayed out there for a couple of days and just got to see what it was all about. And it's like, oh my God, there's this wrestling ring. It's like, I got to get in there. And oh my God, he showed me around, and yeah, fortunately I didn't take a bump yet. It's like he made sure I was paid and all in for training before I took that bump in the ring.
He wanted to make sure that check is clear.
Yeah, he didn't run me off before I paid. He didn't have me like take a bump while I was visiting. It was like, once you move out here, then we'll get you to take that bump.
Exactly.
But, and another reason I chose Les's school is not only that he had all kinds of time to talk to me about it, was, he's 5'8", and he's from the land of the giant era, and he had a 20-some year career. Then he ended up in broadcasting. So obviously this guy was very talented to stick around the wrestling business for 20-some years. And here he is all these years later, he's still running camps. And so, yeah, I made the right choice. Les gave me all the fundamentals I needed to succeed in pro wrestling. Whoever I wrestled, no matter what happened in the ring, I had that basic foundation to get through the match.
Right. Was there ever a point in the beginning of your career, like when you started in going to school and taking the bumps and moving out, where you kind of just said to yourself, like, is this something that I really want? Or was it just like, I'm finally here and this is what I'm meant to do?
Well, I had my doubts early on, when I was in training, and once I started wrestling on matches, and all those $25 paydays, and you're working as much as you can to pay your rent and to pay for your training, because once you pay to train there, it's like there's still monthly training dues. That it's not free to just train in that ring week by week. And that's later on it turned into, oh, hey brother, this is we'll put your $25 towards your weekly dues. I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, it was a struggle. We're all living in the crappy apartments, but damn it, once you got in that ring, whether it was 25 people or 200 people, it's just that was your canvas, that was your theater, that little spotlight. There was nowhere else I wanted to be was in that ring.
It's pretty much like all the hard work that you put in training and getting up early in the morning. This is what it was pretty much all boiled down to. Like, this is what you were looking forward to each and every week.
Yeah.
Right.
And when I trained, it wasn't like this now where, guys get to be around AEW or WWE and they got a couple months of training. I had 8 months of training at the school before Les allowed me on a show. It's like, you're not getting out in the ring until you're ready. You're not going to embarrass me. So yeah, I trained for 8 months before I got my first match. Cody Hawk, the guy that has trained Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley, Sami Callihan, Eli Drake, it took him almost 2 years before he got his first match. And, the reason he's so good is he got to referee for 2 years. So he's in the ring. We had shows where Ricky Morton was there, Bull Payne, Tracy Smothers, Bunkhouse Buck, and I mean, just different legends from the Smoky Mountain area as well. And you can learn so much. And that's why he's such a great teacher now. He's so fundamentally sound.
Right. So one thing that I learned about you, because as I was doing my research, besides us knowing about the match that you had with Matt Cardona, was that you had a match with Jon Moxley. Yeah.
Oh, did you see that on YouTube?
Yeah, and you have a win over a former AEW champion. So I got a kick out of watching that. It was a really good match.
Yeah, there was a couple little slip ups in there, but overall it was still a good quality match. And if you actually watch some of that match, there's a move in there. I did one lucha move. We had this guy from Mexico that lived in Cincinnati, Super Zeta. I was like, Zeta, I want to learn a lucha move today. And he taught me. I ended up doing it in the match, and it looked really pretty. But yeah, Jon was just such a raw talent, and he already had this, like, he was already a wild man out in the ring. And I just remember going to training or stopping by there to talk to Cody to dub over some tapes. So I had more stuff to get my footage out there. And there'd be Jon just training by himself. We had a little weight bench and just some little crappy weights there. And there'd be Jon training away. He was, he had that hunger, and he had that athletic background, and he was just big enough, around 6 foot. Les Thatcher School, we had so many guys that were just cruiserweights, but there wasn't anywhere to go once WCW shut down, because that was my dream. I knew WWF was going to be really hard. It's like you had to be Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, and I wasn't nowhere near any of that. But I know I could be in that WCW cruiserweight division. They had so many guys, and Chris Jericho was gone, and it's just, man, when I signed up for wrestling, there was WCW, ECW, and WWF, and just way more opportunities. But yeah, that was my dream, to get in that WCW cruiserweight division. And who knows, maybe I could have been a little Chris Jericho type too, because I can really run my mouth on the microphone. Right. But yeah. Oh, but I'm sorry, I got off track there. But yeah, I do have a win over the former AEW World Champion Jon Moxley. It's like I was waiting to put that footage out there sometime. Like, how about a rematch?
Yeah, because I was looking at like different matches that you had, and then that came up, and I was just like, wait a minute, he wrestled Jon Moxley. So I clicked on it, and I sat down and watched it, and I was just like this is a good match. This is like one of his earlier days when he had like the long hair. Is there any other matches that that pop up in your mind, like when people ask about like your career in general?
Oh, there's one match from HWA as well where I wrestled Jamie Noble, and he just stretched my ass, man. It's like, you're going to have a match with Jamie Noble. Whatever you get in the ring, you're going to earn it with him, man. He laid in the forearms, the Europeans, and he really toughened me up out there. It's like, we got pretty physical. He was very giving in the ring, but I had to earn it. There's another good match up there. Bull Payne. There's some early, when I was HWA champion, some of my matches were against Eli Drake, who was Sean Ricker then, but Eli Drake from the NWA, TNA, all that stuff. But probably my favorite match, it's on YouTube, it has the most views as well. It's I wrestled Haku for the WWF up at the Target Center in Minneapolis in 2001. And the great thing about that was, I had moved away from Cincinnati because I just went broke and I had to go back home. It's like, I got no more money. And so without Les's help, because Les trained you, but it wasn't his job to get you bookings, except provide you with local matches in the area, get you some work. So we had shows like once a week, but I went back home. I sent in my promo tape. Back then you had to send a VHS tape and 8x10 and all that to Kevin Kelly, who was in charge of talent relations at the time. And he got me booked for Minneapolis. And there I was doing my little Hindu squats by ringside. And I saw Tony Gurria right there. And he goes, "You don't mind getting beat up, do you, kid?" I'm like, "Absolutely not." So next thing I know, I'm wrestling Haku at the Target Center in Minneapolis right before Monday Night Raw went live. They had a syndicated show called Metal. It was a forerunner to Velocity. This was for syndicated on the weekends. And here we are, 20,000 people at Target Center. I'm wrestling Haku, who I saw when I was about 8 years old in Cedar Rapids at the Five Seasons Center when he was King Tonga. So here we are, full circle. I'm wrestling a guy I watched when I was a little kid live. And like I've said, it's Haku is great because it got to be a somewhat competitive match, because if you get a match on Raw or SmackDown now, you're lucky for them to even say your name. So
Yeah,
I got some offense on Haku, and he actually let me hit him with a missile drop kick, and he took a bump. And Kevin Kelly and Michael Hayes were talking about Tough Enough because that was coming up, and they said, "Oh, Rory Fox, who's the next Rory Fox in the making? WWF presents MTV's Tough Enough," and it's like they put me over really, really well.
That's great. One thing I do have to say is like your performance wise, like in ring is great, and then like your personality just shines out, and I think a lot of people see that through like the Major Brothers, and then with Talking Shop Mania as well.
Yeah.
So. And I love the work that you've done there too, because it's just hilarious. Because when you look at these pay-per-views, it's more of a comedy, a comedy thing. So that kind of just shows more of your what you could bring to the table.
Yeah. It's crazy. Wrestling today is more about the wrestling performance. Everyone has a really high work rate, but during COVID, you got to do whatever you can to get over. And 2020 revitalized the career of Rory Fox. It's like there's a whole new audience now that knows about me because of Talkin' Shop and then the Major podcast. It's like there's times where I was interviewed on Talkin' Shop, and then I'm making appearances on Major podcast, and then Luke Gallows will make a Rory Fox reference again, or Carl Anderson. It's like I'm getting referenced like weekly on these two different shows. It was crazy. And it wasn't about my wrestling. It was about the personality, and as you get older, you got to have more personality because you can't do those Ring of Honor main events or the 205 live stuff they do now. It's like you got to maximize everything you do in the ring. So I just let the personality shine. And when I was interviewed on Talkin' Shop, it's like they interviewed me, but I was at happy hour for 2 hours before that. So whatever I
good to go.
Yeah. Whatever I was thinking, I just said it. And to a lot of fans, that's refreshing. I'm like, holy shit, Rory's got nothing to lose. It's like, he's 45 now. What's he going to do? Not give him a contract? It's like, I'm not ideally who they want for a contract now, but whatever, I'm going to get whatever attention I can take. I'll take whatever right now. I'm just making the most of it because I can wrestle locally for another 5 years, but if you're going to give me some national spotlight, I'm going to maximize it. And, it put me back out there, and now people will research me and look up my YouTube stuff when I could really go. And now I got a collar and elbow t-shirt right here. And I got my pro wrestling tees. Yeah. All during COVID.
Yeah, that's great. So, I know with the Talking Shop stuff. So you threw the challenge out there to Matt Cardona. And so are you ready? You have the tuxedo. You good to go?
No,
we're gonna see you at 3.
Now, and that's the thing. If it wasn't for COVID, this would have happened like last year, or it would have happened earlier. I mean, last year at this time it wouldn't because Matt was still with WWE. But it would have happened at some point. But now, when the world opens back up, Rory Fox versus Matt Cardona, the tuxedo match is going to happen. But no, the tuxedo isn't ready yet because Big Mouth Always Ready Matt Cardona said, did you see Talkin' Shop Mania 2 or no?
Yeah, I did.
Did you stick around for the closing credits where he said he was going to send me $1,000 to get a tuxedo?
I was waiting to see if he actually sent it.
Oh, hell no.
We got to call him out on it then.
Oh,
we need to make sure you get that $1,000.
Matt Cardona, you're not always ready to give me the cash. So I did this Major podcast, their flea market last week during Major Fest. And that I said all my money is going towards a Rory Fox tuxedo fund. But the way they give me a hard time about my earbuds, I should have thrown in, give me one of them nice headphones like the Major Brothers got there. I want one of those. But yeah.
Sure, we all need one of those. So so I have one more question, well, 2 more.
Yeah.
So for anyone now, because you said that, you just wrestle like locally. So anybody that comes to you now and says like, I want to get into this business, what is some advice that you would give somebody?
Yeah. I wrestle locally, but also I have like a 4 or 5 hour circle around the Midwest. I'm willing to travel, like 5 hours or 6 hours if the money's right. But yeah, I would say it's different now. Like when I trained, that's one of the things I would change if I could do it over again. Was Cincinnati was a great place for me to start, but I spent 3 years there, and I went home for a year and a half. Then I went back for another 4 years. That you want to do 3 years and like now, I would say go to the academy up in Minnesota. If you're in the Midwest, I would go to the academy in Minnesota. That's Mr. Kennedy and Davari and those guys. Those are tremendous trainers. I mean, you got the Black and Brave Academy over in the Quad City area there. But what I would say now is do your research, go to a great place and get trained. Wrestle in the area, get as many shows as you can with that trainer. But otherwise, just go around the surrounding states there. But after a couple years, though, move on. Like, it's like the territory days. They used to go to one place for a year, another place 2 years. But like, go in the Midwest for a few years. I mean, hit Chicago for a while. But now it's like you can go down to Georgia and Florida. There's so much work in Florida and Georgia. That's another thing. Go down to the Cody Rhodes' school, because that may get you on a fast track to AEW if you look the part or you're really talented. The mistake I made, I've known Machine Gun Carl Anderson for about 20 years, and he knew when it was time to get out of Cincinnati. He did everything he could at the NWF. That was our rival to HWA. He went out to California to the New Japan dojo there. Mm-hmm. And, he eventually got over there. He got over at PWG, and he got over, in that New Japan dojo. And that's the thing. You got to keep moving around. Don't stick in one place too long. And if you are going to stay in one place for a while, you just got to really travel. Like, say, like me, if I'm in Iowa, I want to hit Minnesota, Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, Wisconsin. If you're going to stay in that place, you need to hit all those places. Don't just stick to, oh, this is the promotion I work for. It's like you're an independent. Get to as many places as you can. So, or if you're in the East Coast, go to the East Coast for a while. You can go up and down the East Coast there. There's bookings all over. Just wrestle for as many places as you can. Just don't let promoters try to make you feel like you're their guy and you can't go somewhere else. No, Just travel as much as you can and move around.
Okay. Well, man, I mean, that's some solid advice for people who want to get into this business to know. So thank you once again for.
One other thing. Like, when you're young, the paydays are going to be crappy. So if you can save up and get some merch, because that way, if the pay isn't going to be very good at this show, get out there and hustle your merch, man. That'll help you go to shows and be able to travel further. Like, that was the thing too. I never had all this merch. So it's like, God, am I going to drive 7 hours for $50? I can't. It's like,
right.
So or get a group, get a carload of guys and head on out and split your expenses. But otherwise, just travel and get some merch. 8x10s, t-shirts, pro wrestling tees makes it pretty easy now.
Yeah, I see that now with a lot of independent people now, where they either use like pro wrestling tees to get like their shirts out there, or like they have like their merch stand where you can you can buy this stuff like after shows. I'm a big indie guy, so I definitely like when I go to independent shows, I always go to their merch tables and get something, whether it's a pin, a shirt, a sticker. Find out more information about them and just support as much as possible.
Hey, you're an East Coast guy. Did you ever go to the Super 8 tournament?
Yes.
I was there in the 2006.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I wrestled Petey Williams.
Oh,
and he ended up winning that year.
Is that can I find that on YouTube? Because I don't remember seeing that on there.
Well, I don't know if it's on. That one's not on YouTube. It's one of those where it's one of those online services, or there's the DVD. But yeah, it was funny. I was terrified of that Canadian Destroyer. Mm-hmm. So Scott D'Amore was there with him as his manager, because they were doing the Team Canada thing in TNA Wrestling. And I was like, man, I don't know. Can I do that cloverleaf or that tap Canadian cloverleaf or whatever? And he's, nah, man, we need to hit the Canadian Destroyer first round. So I was still like, I don't know. Scott D'Amore had to show me how to take the Canadian Destroyer. And I was like, well, if his big ass can flip over backwards, I guess I can too.
Exactly.
Oh, shit. My computer fell over. Sorry about that. But yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, so man, thank you so much for taking the time out and talking with me and answering these questions. It's so hard being a new blogger / podcaster. I'm still trying to get my foot in the door. So to have people like you to speak to and know more about their story is just great. So is there anything you want to plug? Any projects that you have coming up?
Yes, absolutely. ProWrestlingTees.com/Rory Fox 11. And also you can go to Collar and Elbow to pick up this bad boy, Rapid Delivery Rory Fox, delivering the goods since 1999. I have Instagram, Rory Fox 11. I'm on Twitter. If you want 8x10s or other merch, you can contact me on social media. But yeah, ProWrestlingTees.com and also Collar and Elbow. And who knows, once things open up again, you never know where you'll see me.
Yeah, definitely. Well, once again, thank you so much. You have a good night.
Yeah, thank you.